The Moonlight Greatsword and Ranni's endings are accessed via the plateau in South Liurnia, but getting there is a major ordeal. In order to get there, we need to fulfill several other requirements and find the elevator that leads here. Our journey begins at the start of a playthrough. You can first meet Ranni, known first as Renna, at the Church of Ella at nighttime, where she'll grant the player the Spirit Calling Bell and some basic ashes free of charge. This meeting is entirely optional. The first major step in her quest chain requires meeting her in her tower far to the north. Head to the Carian Manor in northwest Liurnia. From here, fight the boss, the Phantom of Royal Knight Loretta. Afterwards, outside the boss arena, you'll find the sub-region Three Sisters. Here you will encounter the glintstone dragon Adula, just outside the tower we're heading towards. Fighting Adula here will likely not result in its defeat, as it flies away after taking some damage. We won't be fighting this dragon again for a great deal of time from now, and it's not required for this questline. Make your way up Ranni's Rise and speak to Renna, who now reveals herself as Ranni the Witch.
I believe I said my name was Renna when last we met.
She will introduce you to her three sworn servants, the giant blacksmith Iji, the lichen warrior Blythe, and the pompous sorcerer Celivis. Each of these characters have their own quest chains, but are sworn to Ranni. Disrupting their quests, or Ranni's, may have detrimental effects on each other's questlines. In order to exit the tower after entering Princess Ranni's service, speak to her servants and then sit back at the Grace. She will assign to you a mission to resolve a grand mystery. How can we get to the hidden city of Nokron? Before leaving, speaking to her allies reveals that Blythe has been sent to aid you in the mission, and will go deep below the earth. Meeting Blythe underground is totally optional, but he can be found in Siofa River. Celivis, meanwhile, back in his tower just next to Ranni's, has optional information that can aid you in solving the mystery of Nokron. Completing Celivis' questline is absolutely worth doing, however, spoilers, he ends up betraying Ranni. You can complete his quest up to that point and then choose not to betray her, but this video is focused on just completing Ranni's quests as fast as possible. The next major step is defeating Radahn, who, as the coolest character FromSoft has ever designed, learned gravity magic just to keep his withered and broken horse afoot so he could ride it evermore in the rotting Caelid wastes. Who also, just as a flex, decided to keep all the stars in the sky in place, even as his brain decays to scarlet rot. What a legend! In order to defeat Radahn, Redmane Castle must go through a transition. The castle normally serves as a standard legacy dungeon, but once the right criteria are met, the dungeon loses nearly all of its enemies temporarily and a festival begins. The fastest way to achieve this will depend entirely on your level and build. If you don't mind fighting the Misbegotten Warrior and the Crucible Knight, then progress through the castle normally and skip to Method 2. A lot of people are wrong about how to access Radahn. There are at least 3 ways to trigger the festival. If you wish to fight Radahn without having to do Redmane Keep, travel to Fort Feroth next to Grail in the Dragon Barrow to obtain 1/2 of the Lift of Dectus Medallion. The other half is obtained in Fort Height near the Mistwood, where Kenneth Height asks you to go during his quest. After obtaining both of the medallion pieces, travel to the Lift of Dectus in the north, far beyond Rhea Lucaria Academy. Since we've already beaten Carian Manor, take this parkour shortcut over to the lift and activate it. To be honest, this parkour is pretty tricky, and if you have a Grace nearby already, just take that instead. Once active, sit at a nearby Grace and the festival should begin. If you already entered Redmane Castle and have beaten its boss, you can activate the festival another way. On the way to Carian Manor, you will find Smithing Master Iji, who reveals himself to be War Counselor Iji after some progress in Ranni's questline. Speak to him at some point in your playthrough, and return to the festival grounds. After the boss fight, speak to Jaren, who will now prompt a conversation about Iji.
Well, I haven't heard that name in an age.
Returning to Iji results in new dialogue. Iji will have an epiphany that in order for Ranni to follow her destiny in the stars must once again move, which means defeating Radahn. Iji apparently sets the festival in motion after this dialogue. Another method is to meet Blythe down in Siofa River, accessed via the Mistwood elevator. He will suggest speaking to Celivis. Celivis will send you to the sorcerer Selen. Selen will give you some information. Report back to Blythe and the festival will begin. Totally regardless of which path you take, you'll have to defeat Radahn anyway. But I actually think he might be easier than taking a duo with the Leonine and Crucible Knight at an early level like I did. Returning to Redmane Castle boss arena during the festival will now result in several NPCs being present, including Alexander if you've progressed his quest far enough, Blythe, and others. Access to Radahn is now available. Defeat him, and watch the coolest cutscene ever play. Watch the cutscene carefully. This was one of my favorite moments in my first playthrough. Follow the direction of the explosion, and pinpoint it to south of the Mistwood. Coming back here will reveal a giant crater, and some gravitational anomalies, no doubt left by Radahn's lingering magic. Carefully navigate the crater and access the hidden underground city of Nokron. Travel through the linear areas until you get into another grassy zone, reminiscent of the one that lies below in the Seofer River. Hug the left side and touch the grace here. Some careful platforming will take you down to a new subsection. It's here that you'll find your true goal, the Fingerslayer Blade. Return to Ranni with your legendary artifact, and Ranni will now begin her journey.
It is in thy possession, is it not? I too am to depart on a journey.
Renna's Rise, the third tower that was sealed prior to this event, is now open. Inside, you'll find a portal to Ainsel River, which acts as a nice shortcut if you haven't already been to the connecting regions. Here you'll find the miniature Ranni doll. If you've been here before, the doll only spawns once Ranni departs on her journey, so just come back and pick it up. Sit at the nearby Grace and initiate dialogue with her via a new prompt. Attempt to speak to the doll 3 times and she'll respond, giving you a new task. She is being pursued by a powerful assassin nearby. The Baleful Shadow is further down the path, down an elevator in Nokstella. The shadow itself is essentially Blythe. Maybe it is him.
Like a 30-minute lore video.
Baiting his jump attack and fishing for backstab seem to work best against the shadow. Defeat it and you'll obtain the discarded palace key. Keep heading down this way to the Lake of Rot. And make sure to touch the Grace, we'll be coming back here. Did I mention you need to finish Raya Lucaria Academy? Because you do. Now's the time to do that if you haven't already. Teleport to the boss room at the end, and open the chest that was locked to obtain the Dark Moon Ring. This means you're married now, by the way. Maiden acquired. Now that you have the ring, you are considered a lord of sorts. Warp back to the Lake of Rot Grace, and complete the area by raising the pressure plates. Bring Preserving Boluses and equip high immunity gear. The immunity +1 charm can be found at the start of the area by defeating a solitary ancestral follower in the muck just past the lakeshore. The recipe for Preserving Boluses is actually found very early in the game, just behind the Grace in Seofer River Well, so now's a good time to grab it if you haven't. Though, getting the materials to craft the boluses is another story. You're likely better off picking up 5 boluses from this shack at the start of Caelid. You don't need many on the first time through here. Head through the area, down the ramp to the next Grace. Since we're not focused on collecting anything else right now, just zoom past all the enemies and get in the coffin at the edge of the waterfall. Be sure to come back to the Lake of Rot and the Grand Cloister later to collect more goodies. You will now come face to face with true cosmic horror. Astel, Naturalborn of the Void, rests here. It's a fun fight. It's painful, but fun. Its grab attack will one-shot you even at high vigor. I stayed under-leveled and under-geared all this playthrough, and this fight was hell. You should be fine though. You'll likely have magic and spirit summons. Rest up, and with the Dark Moon Ring, prove that we are worthy to progress beyond the sealed wall. You now, finally, have access to the last region of Liurnia, and as such, a plethora of goodies and areas to explore. But we have one goal in mind, the ruined church in the north. Head over there, skip past Adula, who's now back in full force, and head into the cave. Obtain your maiden, enable Ranni's ending as an option during the finale of the game, and pick up the legendary Moonlight Greatsword. No, wait, I mean the Dark Moon Greatsword. The gimmick in this game is that it has frost on it or something, I guess. Alternatively, there is another int-scaling legendary sword you get for doing all this. Head back to Ranni's Rise, where I regret to inform you, Blaidd has lost his way and gone feral, much akin to those in prior games who falter on their path and lose their humanity. Take him out to obtain his armor and his colossal sword, the Royal Greatsword. His helmet, if you will, is found just behind Sullivan's tower. Thanks for watching, I hope this helped.